This is Teaching to the Test Pattern.
Hey, buddy, welcome to Teaching to the Test Pattern. I'm Tom White, your host, and today, super special show. With everything going on in the world, with coronavirus, with schools getting canceled, and sporting events getting canceled, and all of those things, it's a tough time. The word unprecedented has been beat into the ground over the last couple of days, but it really is. I mean, I realized on my way home today that I don't know when the next time I will see a live sport is. And that's tough. That's very tough to think about. And as you're thinking about that, think about our friends who produce those sports. You know, the guys who make their money working for a university. You know, they may not work for them full time. They may be a freelancer who, for the foreseeable future, don't have a job. They don't have those baseball games, those softball games, those soccer matches. They don't have spring games. They don't have spring practices. They don't have those things that they were probably banking on as a way to make a living. So I encourage you to think about those guys. And if you're a praying person, pray for those guys and gals. When the NBA canceled, I was like, wow, that really is tough. You know, it really kind of sank in. And then I saw a post from the Ivy League about how they're canceling everything. And then I went, oh, okay, this is beyond what I thought it was. And I think that the impact on the broadcast community is tremendous. And it's just, I don't know, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to see my friends and around the country going, I don't even know, when I'm going to work again. And that's tough because these guys work hard, and they've worked hard for a long time to get to where they are. And to not know when they're going to work again. You know, the NBA says 30 days. MLS said 30, 40 days. But colleges are gone. You know, it's different. But so in thinking about that, and I had an opportunity to go to the NFHS Network headquarters here in Atlanta. And one of the things I was like, I've got to talk to Stephen Dyer. And if you don't know Stephen, he's one of those guys that when he walks in the room, you just immediately go, well, that dude is smart. And then he starts talking, and he's got a great accent, which makes him sound like 175 more IQ points above what he is. But then he starts talking, and he explains things, and you're like, oh, wow, okay, I get it now. So this episode it's not a lot about broadcasting, it's just streaming. And it is how streaming works, so that if you're going to your administrators in this time where, just uncertainty, where you're going, how do I stream a show, or how does that work, or, will it work? In the community that I'm in now, a large portion of my students don't have internet at home. And to a lot of people, that's unfathomable, myself included. When I went down there the first time, I was like, wait, y'all don't have internet at home? Our valedictorian doesn't have internet at home. I mean, it's that rampant. So we're in weird times, and I was like, I need to talk to somebody to be able to explain how streaming works, and how, if you're in a densely populated area, how one signal can get to all of those people. If you've got 15 kids living in a subdivision, how does that work? And that's one of the things that Stephen and I talk about. We also talk about the future of streaming and some of the things that he's trying to overcome. And it's a good episode to talk about, right now with these times. And I hope that it strikes a chord with you as you're thinking about what you may have to do. And, where I am, we're out for the next week. All the other counties around us are out for at least 2 weeks. But they're all trying to do digital things, and they're trying to leverage video. And I think that we have, as broadcast teachers, an opportunity to make an impact on our community like never before. And reach out to somebody. I posted on a Facebook page today that if you haven't reached out to your administration and offered all the help you can, you're an idiot. I didn't say you're an idiot. I said you're dumb. I was being nice then. But you're an idiot. We have a special skill set that can make our administrators' lives easy. They can go on, they can say their piece, it can be distributed across all the mediums. Make that offer, because when you go back and you go, hey, I'd really like a new switcher, they're going to remember that. They're going to remember how easy you made their life. So very excited about this interview. My sponsor is Amitrace. Those guys have been rock stars for me personally and rock stars professionally for a lot of teachers, myself included. We were at the Skills USA Georgia conference, and those guys volunteered to they sent down 3 technicians. They set up a beautiful broadcast set that I will share on the Facebook group. We were like, dude, you don't have to do a green screen. They're like, oh, no, we're going to do a green screen. And we're like, you don't have to do virtual sets. No, we're going to do virtual sets. And they did everything. I mean, as I was sitting there talking, I was like, they're running 3 mic cables. Oh, they were planning on something going wrong. That's how they treat you as the customer. They're going, okay, here's what you want to do. We're going to set you up for that, but we're going to add those little things that if you don't pay attention, you're not going to notice. That's what Amitrace does. Amitrace.com. Give them a call. Go to the website first. Go to the website. Check out their work. Check out their stuff about NDI. We had them on for a couple episodes about NDI. Check out Philip's writing on NDI. Those guys, like I said, they care about educators. They donated an entire day or more. I mean, they tested everything the day before. They came in and set it up. They did all that. The event was canceled. They took it all down. They never complained. And we as teachers were like, well, this is awful. They never complained. So check them out, Amitrace.com. I can't say enough about these guys. They go over the top for educators. Give them a call. They'll give you a complimentary review and a workup and tell you what you need to get to those big goals. But definitely reach out to them. Amitrace.com. Amitrace is their name. So without any more, let's get into our conversation with Stephen Dyer from the NFHS Network.
Teaching to the test pattern.
Back at the studio at the house.
You can edit out all my ums and ahs as well.
I'm going to leave it all in there because I'll be just as bad. But yeah, I just again get started with. Let's start with kind of who you are and what your role is here with the network.
Hi, I'm Steve Dyer. I'm the CTO for the NFHS Network. And so my role here is really managing the technical side of the equation for the network. I manage our engineering team who are responsible for the website and all of the video processing, the video pipeline, and all the tools that schools can use to broadcast onto the network. And I also manage the production support team. So they're the guys who are on the phone when it's 5 to 7, your game's not ready to work. They'll talk you through the process. They have that functionality when the pick slot's not online. They can help get it online and make sure that everyone has a successful broadcast.
Yeah, when I was talking to Mark earlier, I told him, one of my favorite bad things is when I'm at a football game and it's pouring down rain and I get that phone call from support going, "Hey, are you going to broadcast or not?" So I appreciate that aspect of what you do. So obviously, current situations across the world. We're recording this on March 12th. Lots of stuff going on, and video and streaming of video is a big topic in education right now as school systems try to figure out, how they're going to continue to give their kids an education without putting them in danger or in harm's way. So streaming has been one of the options. And one of the reasons I wanted to speak with you today was to help the listener understand the basics of how streaming works. Can you give me a real layman's term on, obviously how it works, how we get from a camera in a studio or a camera in a field to a phone or a desktop at someone's home? Yeah,
sure. It's quite a complex process, but, luckily most of that complexity is on the back end, and that's taken care of on servers, which, we host. So, typically what happens is the camera is used to shoot the video. That needs to be connected to the computer. And there are lots of devices, relatively cheap, which you can use to just plug the camera into the computer. On the computer will take the video signal and what we call transcode it, which is turn it into ones and zeros, which can be passed over the network. Once it's converted into the digital signal, it'll be streamed up to our network. By streamed, I mean is the continuous signal. Each frame of video that comes in, we send it straight up to our servers on the network. On our servers on the network, we do some transcoding again to make it relatively easy for people at home, whether you're watching it on a small device or on a big device, and fit all the different formats in. And then we distribute it over our network. We just drop it on, and it's available to everyone, whether you're in California, whether you're on the East Coast, or whether you're in Europe. So
getting specific to a school that is about to shut down for a period of time, and they want to be able to send footage out. If I'm in a large community and we have a large school, we have a lot of people who live in one area, how does it work that all of those people can get that same footage at the same time without the buffer, or without a lot of stoppages in the stream?
Yeah, so the idea there is what they call content distribution networks. And this is now very much a standardized technology which lots of people use. And the idea behind it is, instead of there just being one signal from your computer in school and everyone's taking that one signal, what we do in the cloud is we distribute it on a content distribution. So we fan it out. So it goes to many, many different computers. And so when you're at home, you just connect to one of those endpoints, one of those computers, and you get your signal from that. Your friend next door will go to a different computer and they get the signal from that. And so we can scale up to as many as tens, hundreds of thousands of viewers very easily just by distributing the content over these networks.
And you do that, obviously, it's all magic. It's all magic to the layman like myself.
Yeah.
And with your crew. So with what we talked before we came on the air about some new stuff, and I'm really excited to hear about this. You were talking about just rolling it out and seeing it work in Nebraska. Kind of explain what it is with the new design and the content distribution.
Yeah, so one of the tools we've used this year is what's actually called a peer-to-peer CDN. And the idea there is that instead of when you have a large density of viewers watching the content at home, and they all go to our servers to get the content, what is actually the most efficient way is to get the content from your neighbor if they're watching the same video. So there's a plugin which we put into every video player, and then if you're watching a video signal and I'm watching the same video signal, then instead of us both going to the origin to get the video, one of us will get it and then share it out amongst all our peers. And it's a very efficient way for us to be able to handle that, especially where we saw Nebraska today, where there's a very high density of people watching the games in Omaha. And so there we could very easily able to cope and scale and handle that extra load. And
so it basically makes it to where it works more efficiently so that more people can get access to it without issue.
Yes, and so you get quicker speed at startup times. If you're in Nebraska and you want our video, you're getting it from an AWS service center. That is a longer way away than it is getting it from your neighbor. So your startup time will be a lot quicker. You're less likely to have any of the buffering, the spinning wheel of death, which we always talk about. A lot of that can go away with the use of this new technology.
Excellent. So what's next in streaming? What is other than the peer-to-peer CDN? What's next in streaming?
I think for us, we're, in terms of live, it's driving the latency down. There's the whole technology when we have a lot of problems, because school connection is not as good as a high-end connection, and so sometimes we have what we call first mile problems. And so we're looking at a lot of technologies now which will help us overcome really the first mile issues and allow us to give better, more real-time experience. So by latency, what I mean is the difference between the signal you watch at home to when it actually was shot on the video camera. And, currently that can be up to a couple of minutes for us. What we'd like to drive that down into, seconds.
I kind of like it because I can stand at the top of the press box and watch people watch it, what it feels like instant replay to them.
Yes.
So what if I'm starting a streaming program at my school? Yeah. Give me something to get started. How do I get started? What would you suggest if I'm starting a program and I'm using Network Producer and I'm going to do some manual stuff?
So there's you need a couple of pieces of hardware. You need a camera, you need something to connect the camera to a computer, and you need a computer. And typically, a $500 i5, i7 laptop running Windows works fine. We then give you some software, which we call Producer, which you can download and install on the laptop. That handles all of the magic in terms of taking the video signal into the computer. It allows you to do graphics on top of it. It allows you to run, pre-recorded content if you want to. And then it handles on the back end the streaming up to our servers all seamlessly. You don't need to be aware of it. I'm pretty sure that, you as one of the more experienced users know some of the dirty details, but you can just get in, get started, and it's a plug and play, and it's designed for someone who's never streamed before.
And it really is, it's reliable. And it's one of those things where, in our conversations in the past, I've said, with other softwares, they're doing different things. They have different goals. Where with Producer, you guys are like, hey, get the video in, get it to us. And that is probably my favorite part of Producer is that it does work time in and time out.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of devices out there which can do a million things. If you ever go into a broadcast environment, I worked in CNN for a long time, and, the switchers there have so many controls that it's millions of years and millions of hours for anyone to be able to do anything. And even then, you're going to mess it up. Producer's not designed the opposite end of the spectrum. It's designed for someone who's no experience, minimal training, a conversation with someone on the phone, talk you through a few small things, and in 20 minutes you should be up and streaming, and you can have an event that looks good on our website.
My best graphic operator is my 13-year-old child, and he's been that for about 8 years. I mean, it is really that simple. In terms of development, what are you guys? Are you looking at anything in particular moving forward? In terms of as kind of the industry continues to grow and what used to cost $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 is now some cases less than $100. What are you guys kind of seeing as development on your side? Yeah,
so there's a couple of things there. I mean, the first one is improved picture quality. We've gone up this year. We can do 1080p now. So, just talking through, in the old days, there used to be an SD signal, which was 480 horizontal pixels. It looked okay. Then we had, high definition HD, which was, up to 720 pixels. Now we're 1080.
I remember my first HD broadcast. I remember going, that looks really good. And, I definitely remember that day. I don't remember what school it was, but it was a basketball game. And I went, oh, that looks way better.
Yeah. I go way back from, back in 97, 98 when we first did streaming. And there were you had so many computers and so much technology, and there were still just blobs moving around on the screen. You couldn't work out anything. You couldn't even work out what sport it was, let alone some individual. So, now we're doing, we've had streams going up, 1080 streams at about 10 megabits per second, which is quite a high bandwidth. And, the picture looks really good at that signal. We'd like to start to think about, what's next is 4K, improving the signal beyond that. So we're starting to think about that. And then in some of the technologies, we're looking at SRT, which is another streaming protocol on the back end, which helps us again with reliability and latency. So we've done some testing with that, and we're going to continue expanding, our development around that.
So another option for, we talked about live streaming, and another option that the network offers is video on demand. Kind of explain how that works and what the good of that is for the end users.
So, I mean, here what you're doing is you can record the content and you can edit it on a device before you put it up onto the network and before you share it with everyone. So there's it's very easy to, connect the computer again to the camera, or even just shoot it on a camera and take the card from the camera, plug that into the computer and take the footage. From that footage, you can bring it into an editing program, and depending on your sophistication, there's everything from Premiere, Final Cut, all the way down to, iMovie or very basic packages, which are default on your operating system. There you can, cut the video how you want to. You can take the segments out. You can get rid of the ums, the ahs, and all of the other bad parts of the video. And once you're finished and you have a completed video, you can save it, upload it onto the network, and once it's uploaded onto the network, it'll then be shared to everyone at home.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that people think about when they think of the network. They think of sports, but there really are a lot of options, with different categories to where you can push this stuff out there in a variety of ways.
Yeah, I mean, the same way if you want to do a post-game show, a morning news announcement, I see a lot of schools doing their morning news announcements live, but edit them, give people the experience of, actually cutting things together, and it gives you a lot more flexibility of how you can produce things and clearing up mistakes. And then when you're happy, you can just upload the VOD and then it's available. It's also, more flexible for people to download when they're available and when they have time to watch it.
Yeah, that's something that when I was talking with a couple of teachers this morning, we were talking about, the on-demand teaching versus the live streaming. And, a lot of school systems are, they're beating the drum about live streaming. But if you have a kid who's out of school, well, mom and dad then have to figure out transportation and those type things. And if you only live stream it, it's only available during that time. Whereas with on demand, it's available whenever the kid's available.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense to do it, to get it. You can cut it down to the right size. You can make sure that everything is perfect, and then they can watch it whenever they want to. And you have this evergreen content, which, I hope this never happens again. But if kids have to stay home again, the content's there and you can repurpose it.
I would be lying if I didn't say I use the same videos over and over.
Everyone does.
Well, thank you again, and have a great day.
Thanks.
Teaching to the test pattern.
One of the cool things about my conversation with Stephen is that he just, after we turned off the mics, he just kept going. And I was like, man, I really wish we could keep going and have the mics on. And just, one of those things where I could sit and listen to him talk all day long because he knows so much stuff. And he's got a passion for it, and you can tell he does. He's been doing this for a long time. He worked for CNN for a while. He worked for some other companies for a while. Just amazing. Definitely if you're, I can't say enough about the NFHS Network and what they've done to build my program, but they are really working hard to build up high school athletics in terms of the streaming space. And Stephen and his crew, I mean, they're working on SRT. And if you don't know, SRT is how ESPN is transferring all their stuff for ESPN Plus. They're working on NDI. They're firming up NDI in that Play on Producer software that we talked about. And for me, all of my stuff is NDI except for Play on Producer. But I went to them and goes, "Hey guys," and they had it and it worked. But then they were like, "No one's using it," so they took it away. And I went, "Whoa, time out! You were just ahead of your time." So, want to make a plug for NFHS Network? Go check them out. I've got an interview with their marketing person, Lauren Shearer, and their the director of the school broadcast program, Mark Rothberg, coming down in a week or so. I spent some time with them as well yesterday. So, again, thank you so much for downloading this episode. It's a little bit longer than I would like. I didn't want to break up the conversation with Stephen because I think it's a very important conversation for our times. And, again, reach out to your administrators. Ask how you can help. Don't let this opportunity for you to get that Main Street money pass. So, for those of you who are looking down and trying to figure out how you're going to make it through this time, you will. And we'll think for you, thinking, praying for you, thinking about you. If I can, I will offer any assistance. Just reach out, go to the Facebook page, shoot me a message. Have a great day. And as always, go back some awesome.
Teaching to the test pattern.